Hello everyone, how's you all? I hope you all are doing well at your home. Uh, we are talking about the chapter number first, that is the Indian economy on the eve of independence. Earlier we have released the 4 videos on that. We are talking about how the economy is going on, how the different type of structures are to be done and performed during the period of the colonial period. So this is the video number 5, which are talking in which we are study about how the occupational structure at that time and what are the positive impacts of the British colonial period over the Indian territory or over the Indian economy. So let's begin. Actually, the occupational structure. First of all, we have to know what is the meaning of the occupation. Occupation refers to the means of sources or the livelihood option plan that we can earn. It means it is the sector which provide the meanwhile which provide the how the person can survive. वो किस तरीके से कमाएगा और उन पैसों को कैसे अपने जो लिविंग थिंग्स हैं या अपन कहें जो उसका सर्वाइवल है उस सर्वाइवल के लिए वो किस तरीके से उन पैसों को खर्च करे. So in the occupational structure, actually the Indian economy is the totally dominated for the agriculture sector. Indian agriculture sector is there is the predominance of the primary sector. That our economy is totally dependent on the primary sector, or we can say that the agriculture sector. The major portion of the workforce engaged on the primary sector and the rest part which was engaged on the secondary and tertiary sector as well. But most of the human sources or the working population was engaged on the primary sector. In the 1951, this portion was 72%. It means let's suppose अगर हमारे पास 100 आदमी है तो 100 में से 72% कहाँ काम कर रहे हैं? एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर में. अपन ने कहा था इंडिया इज नॉट अ पुअर कंट्री, इंडिया इज अ कंट्री ऑफ अ पुअर पीपल. आरसी देसाई का सबसे अच्छा कोट था ये. रीजन उस चीज का रीजन क्या था? बिकॉज हमारे मेन जो टोटल पॉपुलेशन है उस टोटल पॉपुलेशन का लगभग 3/4 हिस्सा किस पे काम कर रहा है? एग्रीकल्चर पे. लेकिन उस एग्रीकल्चर से हमारी इनकम बहुत कम जनरेट हो पा रही है. ठीक, तो अगर 72% लोग मिलकर के अगर मान लीजिए 50 रुपीज कमाते हैं तो पर पर्सन 1 रुपये की भी अवेलेबिलिटी नहीं है. दैट इज व्हाई आवर इकोनॉमी इज द बैकवर्ड इकोनॉमी और द डिप्लेटेड इकोनॉमी. सो देयर इज अ प्रीडोमिनेंस ऑन द प्राइमरी सेक्टर. वी आर टोटली डिपेंडेंट ऑन द प्राइमरी सेक्टर. Why it is so? Why there is lacking of the industrial sector and the service sector? Because at that time they follow the systematic deindustrialization policy, as we have studied earlier in our videos. They follow the systematic deindustrialization policy. In the deindustrialization policy, they do not want to open any kind of industry in India because they want to remain dependent Indian economy over the Britain. So there is no particular industrial sector, and service sector requires the huge amount of expenditure on the infrastructure, but there is a lacking of infrastructure at that time, so that the Indians has to rely on the primary sector only. It means we can see that the primary sector count about the 72% of the total working population, where the industrial sector count of the 10% and service sector count the 18%. But as per the 2012 survey, the ratio of the primary sector tends to decline, whereas the industrial and service sector now increasing tremendously. Why? Because there now we have the proper amount of the infrastructure, we have the industries, but at that time there was the lacking of the industries as well as there is the lacking of infrastructure. So Indians has to rely on the primary sector only. Our second point, there is a regional disparity. Regional disparity means the Indian territory was divided among the various types of regions or various types of states, and at that time, at the time of the independence, there was regional disparity. Some regions or some states are still relying on the agriculture sector, but some are thinking that some states are thinking that we have to go to the industrial or the service sector. So the regional disparity arise. Regional disparity how? Because some states are reduce the workforce on the primary sector, like Tamil Nadu, Arunachal Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Karnataka, Maharashtra, etc. These states are well known for the industries. These states are well known for the industries, and these states has to decline these states were declining after the independence. Until now they are declining on the primary sector, and now they are relying on the industrial and the service sector. So these states are tremendously declining their reliance on the primary sector, and they are going to the industrial and service sector, whereas some states are totally backward and these states are still relying on the primary sector, or we can say that they are increasing their productivity in the primary sector only. And these states are Odisha, Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, etc. और आप लोग अगर देखोगे तो यहाँ जितने स्टेट्स मैंने नाम लिखे हैं, इन स्टेट्स में ज़्यादातर इंडस्ट्रीज हैं या आईटी सेक्टर का हब है, और इन स्टेट्स की अगर बात की जाए तो आज भी एग्रीकल्चर है, यहाँ कोई प्रॉपर इतना अमाउंट का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं डेवलप हो पाया. सो दिस इज आवर ऑक्यूपेशनल स्ट्रक्चर. इससे पहले हम हमारे डेमोग्राफिक स्ट्रक्चर, द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर, फॉरेन ट्रेड, एग्रीकल्चर, इनके बारे में पढ़ चुके हैं. ये हमारा 6th ऑक्यूपेशनल स्ट्रक्चर. Now the last topic of the chapter, that is some positive impacts of the British colonial rule. British rule ने हमारे ऊपर obviously बात है उस 200 years के period में कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं किया. They want to India become a stagnant economy or the depleted economy, and they do so also. But there are some positive impacts also arise from their side, because सब लोग एक जैसे नहीं होते. कुछ लोगों ने कुछ अच्छा करने की कोशिश की, और क्या अपन कहें कि उस जगह पे उन्होंने किया कुछ और, लेकिन वो कुछ हमारे लिए अच्छा निकल करके आया. So first of all, the improvement of agriculture sector. Before the coming of Britishers in Indians are relying on the agriculture sector, totally agriculture sector only. There is no industries, no service sector. They are totally relying on the agriculture sector. But at that time, before the coming of the Britishers, at that time the Indian agriculture sector was totally dependent on the survival or the substantial farming. Substantial farming means the farmers do the farming for the livelihood options or for their livings only. They do not want to sell their produce in the local market or the international market. But after the Britishers, when the Britishers came into India, they forced the Indians to commercialize their crop, and that is why we are now we are able to shifting from the substantial farming to the cash crops. So there is an improvement of the agriculture sector. Second one is the better means of transportation. As we all know about that, in 1850 the Britishers introduced the railways, and after that the transport system will arise, and it provide the better and the cheaper transport mode for the movement of the goods as well as the people from here and there and over the Indian territory. So after the introduction of the railways and roadways, it provide the better means of transportation to the Indian territory. Next one is the check on famines. Actually, India is totally relying on the agriculture sector, and Indian agriculture sector is totally gambling on the monsoon. If there is a good rainfall, then there is a good harvest. If there is a bad rainfall, then there is a bad harvest. So that they are totally relying on the agriculture, and there are just because of the natural calamities, sometimes we face the famines also, but we are unable at that time to cope up with these type of famines. So after the Britishers, they taught us how to store our goods, how to store the food grains, how to supply the food grains from one place to the another place, but just because of and it is possible just because of the transportation. So now we are able to cope up with the situations of the famines and the starvation, so that the starvation of the famines decreases simultaneously. Next one is the shifting of the monetary policy. Before the Britishers, we are we do not have the monetary system. We are relying on the barter system. Barter system means where the goods are exchanged with the goods, or we can say that it is known as the CC economy, where the commodities are exchanged with the commodity. But after the Britishers came into India, the monetary system emerged. Monetary system of exchange emerged, and now we are improving ourselves day by day. But this monetary system is just introduced by the Britishers only. So it is also it also has the positive impact by that side. Next and last, the effective administration setup. Earlier we have the Rajas, Nawab, and the princely courts. But now we have the proper administrative system like the IAS, RAS, etc. and the administrative offices, and these are these are possible just because of the after the British rule. So these some points which provide the positive impacts over the Indian territory. बाकी इस चैप्टर में हमने जितना पढ़ा, ब्रिटिशर्स ने कोई कमी नहीं छोड़ी हमें एक्सप्लॉइट करने के लिए, हमारा स्टैग्नेशन के लिए, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं कुछ पॉजिटिव इंपैक्ट्स भी आए, कुछ नेगेटिव भी आए. एवरी कॉइन हैज टू फेसेस. इस चैप्टर में जितने हमारे क्वेश्चंस हैं सबसे ज्यादा आपको डेट्स और साथ साथ आपके जो सेक्टर्स हैं उन सेक्टर्स से क्वेश्चंस बनने के चांसेस ज्यादा हैं. इस चैप्टर ये जो चैप्टर हमारा होगा, इस चैप्टर में फर्स्ट जो आपका चैप्टर 6 मार्क्स का है, तो 1-1 मार्क्स के क्वेश्चन और 3 मार्क्स के क्वेश्चन निकलने के चांसेस बहुत बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं. तो प्लीज आप जितने डेट्स हैं, जितने हमारे जो इकोनॉमिस्ट वगैरह हैं, इनके बारे में इनके नाम, इनकी जो डेट्स, इन्होंने जो डेटा और फिगर्स दिए हैं उसे जरूर याद करने की कोशिश कीजिएगा. बाकी हम मिलते हैं हमारे नए चैप्टर के साथ में. तब तक स्टे सेफ, स्टे एजुकेटेड. धन्यवाद.